Joining us now on the phone, Senior Advisor to Donald Trump for President 2024, Alina Habba. Alina, good to have you on the show today. I'm glad you could jump on. I know you had a lot going on, but I'm happy you jumped on the phone with us.
That's all right. This is important. Thank you for having me.
Tell me what's going on inside the campaign. You know, everyone's talking about this momentum, this honeymoon period for Kamala Harris, that the polls are trending her way. You know, I think it has put you guys in a bit of a position. Like, what is the affirmative argument to make right now to attempt to burst this bubble?
Sure. There is no bubble because we've seen her policies. It's the same ones we've lived for 3.5 years. So just because we put a corpse out and put a human body in doesn't mean that the policies have changed at all. You know, she can see the lines from Donald Trump like no tax on tips in her rally like she did yesterday, and she can try and act like she's going to make empty promises, but she's currently in the administration. So let's remember that the policies don't work. They're the reason we're in the deficit economically. They're the reason we're in the mess we're in with criminals everywhere, open borders, fentanyl surging. People can't get mortgages. People can't get groceries. You know, this is the person currently in the White House. So when we say honeymoon period, I think it's exactly that. Like, you couldn't have gotten anybody who got less of a pulse than Joe Biden, but we can't get anybody who's more radical than Kamala Harris. And frankly, her VP running mate just made it even worse, right? So here we are.
Lena, your phone is cracking up a little bit on us. I think my producer said he can get that fixed. So we're going to try to get that fixed here while I set you up for the next question. I think Alina makes a very interesting point. She brings up that what you're asking the American public to believe is that the answer to the problems of the last 3.5 years is to continue with the same leadership from the last 3.5 years. Kamala Harris can't represent renewed hope or inspiration if she's literally the same leadership team from the past that has led to a lack of hope and inspiration. But I still wonder if and when that message will resonate with the American people. 2 days, I don't know if you have fixed the phone call with Alina, if you're trying to get her back on the phone right now, but I want to ask you, Alina, when you say there is no bubble to me, and I heard the argument that you made, I don't know if you heard me just now. Right. I totally get that. But when you say there is no bubble, do you think the polls right now, do you think that whatever is going on with Kamala Harris is not real? Because now they do see her for whatever reason as this new inspiration.
Right. That's why we're calling it a honeymoon phase, right? We're not ignoring polls. Polls are polls. Right. I think what you have to look at is why are they happening? Well, his polls were, President Trump crushed Biden, which is why they kicked him out. And now they've got Kamala Harris, and anybody who is, always going to vote Biden might be excited that now we have somebody who can speak and isn't on the beach ordering ice cream. So, of course, there's this rejuvenation because of the new face, but it's not a new face. And that's why we say it's a honeymoon period. Once people get over this, they're going to have to look at the policies. Once there's an actual debate, I assure you, things will go back to where they were when President Trump debated Joe Biden. And that's the truth of it. She hasn't done interviews because she cannot speak off script. And as we all know, President Trump is very strong when it comes to policies. Our country was doing better with his policies. And I don't think Kamala can stand a chance. And frankly, I don't think her VP can either stand a chance when she's asked tough questions without a script. So, I wish the debates were earlier, but obviously, she's running a little bit afraid. She won't do a debate that she can't control. But as soon as those happen, and frankly, I think before that, you'll see a change.
Why before that? So I'm curious, what I was going to ask you is it going to take a debate? Because right now I don't see any appetite for the media, outside of Fox and independent media out there. But, we can't ignore the fact that mainstream media, legacy mainstream media, corporate, CNN, NBC, ABC, all that, they still dominate the narrative, the quote unquote narrative. And they don't show any appetite of really scrutinizing Kamala Harris. And so I sit there and think, well, can she hold out for
that's our
3 months? And I think that And so that's what I ask you, like, when you say it's your job, that's a debate.
Right.
that's you pushing out your messaging. But you just said maybe it could even happen before debate. How?
Messaging. Like you said, I mean, you're answering your own questions, frankly, which, but messaging, you are, but messaging, you're right, messaging. And the more that we get out that her policies are garbage, that her policies are the same one Joe Biden had, she is part of the Biden-Harris administration. She keeps saying she's going to change. Listen, why isn't she doing it now? Why didn't she do it for the last 3.5 years? She's the vice president. She's not doing anything. She's still got another 6 months. Make the changes. Don't talk. Talk is cheap. But that is what I'm saying. You know, we're going to get that out, and that's the most important thing, is getting out what they actually have and haven't done, which is a lot of nothing. They've ruined our country. People are going to need to go to the grocery store and remember who's responsible for that. And you know, polls are very up and down, as you've seen. We've had a really strong hold, so strong that their president is now no longer running. So I'm really not concerned. I think that this is temporary, as the campaign said. And, you know, we're going to be hustling till the end, and we know that. But when the American people look at the policies, look at what's happened to our country, she's a part of that, a big part of that. Our border in particular. You know, her game is changing. Her accent changes every freaking rally she does. And she's frankly just a very phony candidate. And it'll pass. Mark my words.
Back to the messaging for a moment. You know, I think one of the things that maybe since 2020 has been a real point of, I would think, pride, but progress for President Trump has been the ability to win over some people that weren't previously perhaps on the right. Actually, that's been his part of his thing from the beginning. I mean, he's won blue dog Democrats, union workers in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio. But even since 2020, it's been guys and gals who I don't know if they would have called it. Yeah, they would have called themselves on the left in many situations. And these are more, I guess, celebrity type figures. Guys like Joe Rogan. And yet on messaging, Donald Trump the other day went after Joe Rogan, which to me is like, wow, I thought that's the group where, and even whatever it was with RFK, was it an endorsement? Was it not an endorsement? Was it a compliment to RFK? But Donald Trump, you know, criticizing Joe Rogan. I know the former president a little bit. Obviously, you know him very well. I know how he is. He's a fighter, gets mad, you know, but I don't know, Alina, if that's the messaging you want going after a guy like Rogan.
Right. Well, I think President Trump has his own voice. Okay, so there's no question about that. And this Joe Rogan, somebody who we all know, I know Joe Rogan, he knows Joe Rogan. And I do think it was surprising, his comments about RFK, to be honest. But in terms of campaign, you know, we're going to attack Kamala and her VP on policies, on real issues. And I think that's what people want to hear. They want to hear about policies and real issues. So I agree with you on that. And I think that is what we need to do. Get to the bottom of the real stuff. People are tired of kind of the fluff. I think a lot of that was the legal stuff that they threw at him in an attempt to get him out of the election. That didn't work. And now we got less than 90 days. We got to get into policies. And our policies work and hers don't. And we know that because he was president. And guess what? She was VP. And we saw that. So, yeah, I agree. I would like to get into the policies. I think that's where the strategy for the next few months needs to be. And, you know, that's going to be definitely a focus of mine for sure.
Debates, really quickly, you brought it up. Where's the status? Where are we, Alina? We've got one on ABC. Are we going to have more? Right. Where are they going to be? Will Kamala agree to a Fox debate?
I don't know. I don't speak for her camp. And if what I know of her, she runs scared. She has not spoken to the press off script, like I said, for weeks. I think that's incredibly damaging. They're going to hide her in the basement, it looks like, just like they did with Joe Biden. President Trump has publicly, as you saw in his press conference, offered 2 more dates that have been coordinated. Her team has been contacted. And, you know, if you want to talk about a chicken, there's a chicken. You know, step up. Don't do debates that are only on your terms. What a joke. You know, first it was Joe Biden, his rules, regulations on his terms. Now we got another one she agreed to. President Trump agreed to it. But there's one person that's willing to do them and one person that's only willing to do them the way they want. And that's ridiculous. So they've been offered. The networks have spoken to her team, and we're waiting to see what she does and doesn't do. So your guess is as good as mine at this point. But President Trump is ready to do 3 debates.
Ready to do 3 debates sooner rather than later, you said, you hope. And,
yeah.
I think we all do.
I hope so.
I think we all need to hear that. I know you have a really busy day, a lot going on, so I appreciate you giving us a little time, jumping on with us today
sure.
on the Will Kane Show, Alina. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much.